Hola, beautiful people. Hoy vamos a discutir los saludos en español. So you heard me mention this word saludos, right? Los saludos. And you're like, okay, what in the word is saludo? Okay, so in case you don't know, they are going to be things like good morning, good afternoon, or as I say, great evening, right? Those are going to be the saludos. So we're going to learn what those are in Spanish, and we're going to learn three of them. Now, of course, one of them you're very familiar with, and you hear people say it all the time, which is hola. That is a saludo. But then there are a few others that you've probably heard before, but you haven't heard them in a long time, or you don't use them regularly, or you don't hear them regularly, or you've never heard them at all. And so you're like, okay, let me listen to what she has to say and learn a little bit more about what these saludos are and how I can properly use them and pronounce them in my everyday life. Now, before we dive in, I just got to make sure, the teacher in me has to make sure that you understand exactly what a saludo is. Now, I gave you an example. I said they are words like good afternoon, good morning, um, great evening, or even what's up. All of those are what? Can anybody tell me? No, you already know. They're greetings. So, we're going to focus on the saludos en español. And what I want you to focus on in order to really comprehend and understand what it is we're doing is what the words are and how they differ. And then we'll dive into the pronunciation. So, the first word that we're going to start with in true fashion and form, it's the first thing you say when you walk into the office or you wake up in the morning and you see somebody in your house, who you live with. The first thing you're going to say is buenos dias. That's right. Buenos dias. And so it's pretty straightforward. Now, what I want you to focus on is how my mouth moves when I pronounce it. Okay. Don't worry about anything else. Just focus on how my mouth moves. You already know what word we're talking about. We've already said it before. So now your focus is on how my mouth moves when I say it in order to add more authenticity to your ability to express yourself in Spanish. Okay. Buenos días. Buenos días. Buenos días. Buenos días. Buenos días. And the more you say it, the better you will get at the pronunciation of it and the smoother it'll get. And you'll just be like, buenos dias. And it'll just roll off your tongue. The next greeting that we're going to learn is going to be one that logically follows buenos dias. So we know buenos dias. It is for how you greet someone first thing in the morning. That's how good morning is. So what comes right after that? It's going to be good afternoon. So our good afternoon is going to be slightly different than our good morning. The second word is going to be different. And then how I pronounce the first word is going to be just slightly different. It's going to be like a one letter difference. So listen to me pronounce our next greeting. Buenas tardes. It's like 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm going to say buenas tardes, buenas tardes, buenas tardes, buenas tardes, buenas tardes. Okay. It's really important that we identify the difference. And again, the more often you say these, the smoother that they will just come and roll off your tongue. And so you'll just be buenos dias, buenas tardes, and it'll just roll off your tongue. Okay. Now, our last one, of course, is going to follow the same order. We've done what you would say at 9 o'clock in the morning with buenos dias. We've done what you would say around 12 in the afternoon or 1 p.m. Buenas tardes. Now we're going to go into what you would say around 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. And that would be buenas noches. So that we're going to examine in just a second, the similarities and the differences. But first, pay attention to the pronunciation. Okay. It's buenas, buenas noches. Buenas noches. Buenas noches. All right. So we've talked about what they mean, where we know buenos dias is used for time frames between 9 and right up until afternoon, noon. And then we know buenas tardes is used for noon until 6 p.m. And then from 6 p.m. on, we're using buenas noches, right? Until it's time to use buenos dias again. So Now we focused on how we say those and what they mean, but let's talk about the obvious in the room, and that is how they differ. Now, if you paid attention, there was a slight difference in how I said the first word for the morning, the afternoon, and the evening. Okay. For morning, I said buenos. For the afternoon and the evening, I started with buenas. Pay attention to how my mouth moves differently. Buenos, buenas. Okay. Nas, os, as, os. Buenos, buenas. It's very important that we identify those differences, right? And if you were listening at all, this is a part of training your ear to hear the differences. You would have noticed that buenos contains an O and buenas contains an A. So let's do a recap. We've learned what saludos are, what saludos means, right? And then we've learned some of them in Spanish. We've learned buenos dias, we've learned buenas tardes, we've learned buenas noches. Now I want you to pay attention to the emphasis and the tonalities that I use. So when I say them, I put a little bit of emphasis and expression into them because you're greeting someone. So you have to give them some energy. Listen to me say each one of them and the energy that I put behind them. Buenos días. Buenas tardes. Buenas noches. All of them have a bit of expression behind them. Now, just because you've learned buenos días, buenas tardes, and buenas noches doesn't mean you can't use hola. Hola can be used, but it'd be nice to use it in combination. So you don't want to just say hola. You could start with combining any one of the saludos that we've learned today with hola. Hola, buenos días. Hola, buenas tardes. Hola, buenas noches. That's all it takes. So it doesn't mean you have to eliminate hola, but it gives you a little something extra and it shows more effort, shows more interest, and that helps in connectivity too. So try combining the two and see how you like it. Get in the mirror and practice. And remember, how you move your mouth is how you're going to pronounce the words. So all in all, do not be afraid to really put some energy behind those greetings. Now, last but not least, how do you use them in every day? How do you make this effective? And yes, you've listened to this video and you've heard these words and you learned it in school, but how do you make it effective? You have to actually use it in real time, in real world scenarios, in real world situations, right? In real time. So if you are in the office or you're in the store or you're passing by someone or you are wherever you are and someone who speaks the language or someone who is Hispanic and you just want to greet them and start to build a relationship with them, this is a great way to do it. You may not be able to hold a full conversation just yet, but you can do this. And that's all it takes to make that connection and for the two of you to be able to move forward together. Oh, and one last thing I want to tell you, I used to always tell my students this when I was teaching, and I tell my clients this now when we have our group cohorts and our one-on-one sessions. It's not about perfection, it's about effort. You don't know every word in the English language. You don't know every word in the Spanish language, and that's okay. What matters is the effort and the intention that you put behind it in order to get progress. That's all that matters. So focus on what you can do, and the rest will take care of itself. I'll see y'all in the next one. Adios, amigos. Adios, amigos. Hasta luego. Hasta luego. Hasta mañana. Hasta mañana. Hasta luego. Adios, amigos.